on YouTube.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to episode 13, the big lucky 13. We're growing up. We are now teenagers on Made in the 80's podcast. I can still hear myself on your end for some reason, as usual.
Oh my God, just fucking deal with it.
So loud. We got a nice episode coming up for you today. All you haters out there, all you sealed haters, all you trolls on all the Facebook groups and Instagram stories and everything else that hate sealed collecting, this is your episode. This is your chance to chime in and let your voice be heard about why we're so stupid and bamboozled and God knows whatever else we are, right?
It's a scam. It's all a scam.
Mm-hmm.
Not one eBay sold listing is real, man.
Yeah. But cryptocurrency is real. And dollars are real too. Those are real because those are backed by really important things.
Yeah. Well, do you want to actually delve in or?
Well, should we just start right off, huh? Well, okay. How did this whole topic for this episode come about? I posted something, or what was it? We were on one of the cassette. Was it the cassette
group? Yeah.
Yeah, there was a cassette group, and it just turned into this giant mudslinging fight about, the old school collectors thinking that they're superior and that own that, the real collectors. That's my favorite part of it. And try to put it in a broad stroke, a brush stroke here. Like, I go back to maybe the earliest thing that I can remember for myself, which was sealed video game collecting, which really before that I had started just collecting games in general. Like, I used to have this game and I had this game and then we'd buy it and play it. And I had all the systems set up in my grandma's basement in like 2002. Okay. And that became, oh, wow, look, I found this unopened Nintendo game still at the local trade-in store in 2002, 2003. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. This will be like the next big thing as far as like, oh, this was the most important thing for our generation as far as new and unique. Whereas how comic books maybe were for our grandfathers or dads, and certainly sports cards were for our dads. You had that kind of mentality spill over into, how rare is it to find an unopened copy of an old Nintendo game, right? And so that's kind of where it started for me. And there were a handful of us other guys that kind of bought into that. And I think that's really the first big wave, obviously, once that became bigger, 2009, 10, 11, 12, and then when WADA came along, whatever. But that was like the first big wave of sealed media nostalgia, that established that market as a thing away from, and it's very rare that you can get a collectible that is almost a fork in the road that goes down two very divergent paths.
Well, not anymore, but at that time.
Yeah, because you didn't have, sports cards were sports cards. They weren't sealed or unsealed. They were just, in better condition or worse condition. Comic books, yeah, you could tell if they've been slightly read or not, but for the most part, they still are what they are.
Well, and there was no seal, so in theory, if you wanted to read a mint condition comic book, you still could. You could hold it in your hand, Jay.
Yes, you could use it for what it was intended, right?
Reading. God.
Yeah. So there was a big. That was the first time it created these two divergent paths where you have these things are meant to be opened and used, or played or whatever, and then the uniqueness for, I don't know what it is for you, but for me, the uniqueness of finding something sealed and unopened, and the way that it, whether it's music that has hype stickers or games that potentially have period correct price stickers, but finding these pieces that are so nostalgic for how they were on the shelves, how we remember them in the stores, or how we remember them when we first brought them home or put them in the car. And the fact that any of those still exist is just really exciting to me. It was 20 years ago, and it still is now,
Yeah, well, that's the debate, is guys like you and I see the value and the cool and uniqueness in something that somehow was designed by design to be opened and played, to be fair, and that 99.9% of people did, and that it's now survived 20, 30, 40 years unopened. That's the cool, unique part. And the other side of the debate is, we'll say it's a cassette tape. The value's on the tape itself. The music is the value. So that's the big debate. And for me, anyway, I won't speak for you, and I think you're the same, but there's value in both. There's room for both, and there should be both. I don't know why it has to be so divisive, and I do actually know why. We can get into that, but
that's the thing that was a lot of the rabbit hole that we went down in that 10,000 comment, post on that group was I enjoy both. That was my point on there was like, hey, I have an 87 Oldsmobile that has a cassette deck in it. I have a boombox, retro boombox that I bought for my cassettes, and I have a giant open cassette collection. I have 8 or 10 old video game systems in my video game room and a bunch of old games to play on them. And so I can do both. But there seems to be this huge division, especially from the other side of guys who are just like, oh, no, that's trash. That's garbage. You guys are all idiots. And it's funny because this is what we were talking about, how every time a new one has come along, it's the same stupid rhetoric from these
just
guys.
To clear, every time a new collectible, sealed or not, comes along. So for people who maybe didn't know what you mean, but so like video games and then VHS, cassettes, LPs, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Yes, that's what I'm saying. And it's funny to me because that's how we kind of started on there. Like, oh, it's always the same shit with you guys, right? Like, oh, that's for idiots and for suckers and it's a scam and they're all trying to get you. And, only real collectors. That's the one that really pissed. It's like, that was what my post was like, dude, I promise you I'm one of the few guys on this group that cruises around town with his cassette deck in his car still. And I still have sealed cassettes that I think are really cool and unique, and I enjoy both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. I can partake in both.
You just said the magic word, unique. There's nothing unique about, and for the most part, an opened cassette.
Yeah. Sealed,
that's the unique part, that it's remained untouched and perfect there. Yeah, these are meant to be played. Yep. They're designed to be played, but the fact that you have something untouched and sealed, and then if it's in great shape on top of that, that's like another level of uniqueness. It's just unbelievable. So again, like what it comes down to is their definition of collector, I think, is largely people who don't spend a lot of money on their collection, that are afraid to get priced out.
Yeah, a lot of it is fear-based, for sure. A lot of it is fear-based.
But it doesn't make sense, because if the value to them is on the music or in the grooves or on the fucking tape or whatever, then that's the value. The value to you never was the sealed. So you're not getting priced out of anything because you weren't collecting that anyways.
Yeah. I've never once yet to this date heard an argument on any of these trolling groups that made me think twice about my feelings about it, because I collect both. It's not like there are some guys that are like, oh, that's just like rubbish that you should throw in the trash. There's only, some unique grails that are unopened that you should look at as, something to collect, and the rest of this is crap. And the funny part is that argument in general is so stupid because it kind of applies to most things that are collected. Like if I go to a stamp convention, stamps were meant to be put on letters and sent.
They're meant to be licked.
They're meant to be licked and sent. Like, these dollars that you put in here in these graded containers, like those are meant to be spent, on sucker money. And it goes back to intrinsic value in general. Like, I mean, that's what we saw through this entire period of COVID and everything else, of how people valued things. Certainly the boom of NFTs and cryptocurrency and all these other things. It's like something is only, I mean, it goes back to Econ 101, right? Guns and butter. If there's an apocalypse, what are people going to value, right? Something to protect themselves with and something they can eat. Okay, so what really has value is only what people are willing to put a value on it and trade it within society. So to say like, oh, even when all these people get into these arguments about, oh, crypto's crap, or, whatever they want to say that they don't feel has value. Well, as long as you can get a good number of people behind you believing that something has value, well, then it does. In a society,
you hit the nail on the head. It's whether it's crypto or any of these platforms or mediums or verticals, it's fear-based. The crypto thing is fear. It's fear of change. And that's largely what these collectors, I say that with air quotes, are afraid of too. They're afraid their thing is going to change. But there's really no need to feel any sort of threat, because your opened $3 tapes, we're not coming after those. Those are going to be there, and enjoy them and listen to them and really, get the most out of it. I'm all for that.
I think I have it in the other room, which is funny to me. I think I've shown this on one of the pods before. We have those exchange stores here in Cleveland. There's about 12 or 15 of them. There's a few in Pennsylvania and I think Indiana or something. I have one with still a price sticker when I first started buying my old Nintendo stuff in the early 2000s, and it's a price sticker from their store because they've been around since I think like the late 90s. And it's a Rad Racer with the glasses and everything for NES. And it shows the actual V exchange and the price sticker on the spine. And I think it was like it's a real nice CIB copy of that game, and it's like $4. Okay, like 2003 price. And then I found another one when I started getting back into the big thing again around 2019-20. I found another one at the exchange, same copy, same everything, same sticker. They hadn't changed their stickers in almost 20 years, and it's on the spine, and it says like $35. So my point is, it went up 10x, but it was $3 to begin with. So if now you're paying $35, which the game cost $50 when it came out, okay, now you're paying $35 for a nice copy. You're not priced out. Like if you're priced out of your cassette CD or whatever game that you were into, and now you're afraid that something else is going to happen, dude. If you can't afford, I've seen cassettes even as sealed stuff has gone up in the last year. I remember going to the exchange when I was first buying cassettes like 3 years ago, even for my own listening for my car when I was redoing the Oldsmobile. Yes, you could get most any cassette there for like 50 cents or $1. Okay.
I remember I remember literally getting Appetite for Destruction at a Goodwill in a small town, Wisconsin, literally for $0.25.
Yeah.
And I put it in my tape deck and I loved it. And now what? Now I have to go, if I really want one, go spend $10.
$10. Yeah. Like some really rare, metal stuff, they charge like $20 now. So, but the point is,
can I get one more point in before you finish yours? Because you hit on it, the time thing. You did the 3 to 35 over the last 20 years. If you're such big collectors, you've had 20 years to get your shit. And you haven't. So maybe you weren't so passionate about that title to begin with.
Right. That's a great point. That's a lot of these things that people are talking about with prices right now. Is like, oh yeah, well, dude, I just when I got into cassette collecting 3 years ago, you could buy a lot of the stuff, even the sealed stuff, for 10 or 20 or $30. Okay, almost everything. There were very rare things. Maybe I can think back maybe 2.5 years ago, seeing like a rare rap cassette maybe go for a few $100.
Maybe a few
a few $100.
I remember when we did first start looking, remember it would be like either a VHS or a cassette, and it'd be like $30 to $50, and we're like, ooh, I don't know. I don't know about this. That's a risk.
Well, I will say one of the nice things is being able to have the experience after 2 or 3 years of knowing like what is actually rare and what's not. Because some of the there's going to be demand for the bigger titles that'll keep the prices pressed up. But some of the stuff that's really like in demand is not that hard to find. It is relative to all this stuff is difficult to find. Let's be
like All Eyes on Me.
Yeah,
I'm not going to qualify that as super rare, but it's a big
but
title.
A lot of people
are going to want it.
Yeah. I've seen a good number of copies of a bunch of other stuff. Ding dong, ding ding ding. What's up, Zach? What's going on, dog? You got anything good to chime in with on this? This is a topic for you. But no, that take for example, I know my buddy there that just chimed in. He's a big Eminem guy, and there's certain Eminem albums that are, and I'm not going to throw any names out there because I don't want to price anybody's hunt out. But certainly there's Eminem titles that are super rare, and there's other ones that might not be as big of an album, or that are easy to find that are the bigger albums, and some of the harder to find are some of the ones that are less wanted. So it's kind of a strange.
Did you ask him about that thing?
Did I ask him? Oh yeah, he said that he felt that was probably a pretty solid price for that. Yeah.
Well,
like where it is, like that's probably where we are with it right now. But I do think that that's one of the few rare modern vinyl grails. Along with you know, I mean, there's a few. Obviously, you and I having those early prints of Appetite for Destruction. Those are the only two I've ever seen. That one that you got was phenomenal,
like
bro. Thing
flawless,
is, like,
man.
I could shave in that thing, and you know, I could use it as a mirror to shave. Or well, you're in LA, you could do coke off of it.
Cocaine,
You know?
yeah. Chop your breakfast on a mirror.
Uh-huh. So, I
No,
mean,
I'd freak out. I'd be like, "Watch the seal! Watch the seal!
for sure, could you imagine somebody? Well,
Don't
that's
get any under the vent holes."
What is this white powder under your vent holes, Thomas?
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Damn,
Nothing.
Arm and Hammer.
Yeah,
Try
it's worth
to
more than the
try to
record.
keep the mold away.
Yeah, it's just some baking soda.
Yeah.
Get a little dried out.
Yeah. I was trying to keep the mothballs away. Yeah. Dude, that's
Michigan
great.
said something. I missed it.
Oh, he's speaking about the vinyl. He said, yeah.
Oh, steel right now.
Looking at where they, I mean, I'll say I'm very surprised how quickly vinyl is going, right? Like
I predicted that.
That you did, yes. I think it is still a very difficult thing to grade and collect in some ways, but I do like the fact that some of these companies have used the CGC model where the cases are easily stackable and they hold together. I think that's a big key for a lot of that. You know, Wada didn't do that. I heard their new video game packaging design does have stackability, maybe not to the same extent because CGC stuff stacks really, really well.
As does PSA. I mean, I know it's video games or trading cards, but
yeah, I like the fact that it looks like they're going to be using some of the. It looks like most of the vinyl companies do have stackability, which would be huge for its collectability. You know.
Yep, I don't like Wada's new case though. I got to put it out there.
I mean, I at least want to see it in person.
Well, yeah, fair. But just I'm saying prelim, what I've seen in in photos, it just looks too bank tube-ish to me. I don't like the blister.
Well, I thought one thing that they really missed on was the old case because it had like a pyramid shape.
Yeah.
You could, even when you stacked it sideways, you could still see some of the grading info on the front, but yet they still put the grade on the side for you, right?
Yeah.
Now they made it square, so you can't see the grade, and then they didn't put it on the side anymore. It's just their logo or something in some like molded plastic. It's like, dude, if you made it stackable, that's so people could stack them on a shelf. Like, why wouldn't you put the info there now?
Well, and that's what I've always said with, even before, we were talking about a cassette grading company, even before any of these were even like around, even thought of, right? That was one of our first ideas. So, but yeah, I've always said, well, I have one here with the cassette grading, because the old school way, you'd have these on the shelf and they'd be, stacked. You need a side spine grade on there. Because how badass would that look if you have, I think they like a 12x3, so like a 36, all 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Like, and it's something to shoot for. Right. That would come and play huge if any of the big hip hop rap guys get into it. Like, they're going to want to show that off on the wall.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Yep. No, I do want to at least give them an opportunity to see some of that stuff. I have a few things to send off to them. And that's a good lead into, if you are watching this and tuning in, I think certainly don't want to overload the podcast with a bunch of collectible, but I have a lot of stuff coming back right now and in the next few weeks from different grading companies. So I'm going to do a good number of live unboxings over the next couple of weeks with my boy here or whoever else might want to join, depending on what kind of media it is coming in. I do have, since we're speaking of CGC, I have a small box of CGC stuff that came in here that I figured we could go through for a second and get it looks like it's only 3 games here I have in this box. I just cut it open. I haven't looked what's in here because I got a bigger box from them, but I figured this would be a nice little teaser. So this is how their stuff comes in. You can have a look here. Nice bubble wrapping. I will say that I've had a few snafus from them in my submissions. I mean, I think it's inevitable. I will say this. I've had they do like 8 or 10 things down there now, right? So you have multi-divisions within the same building or structure or area. You have a customer service people that are not collectors, or if they are, they might be collectors of one of the 7 or 8 things. So if you're speaking to somebody who doesn't understand what particular collectible that you're looking at, it can become very difficult to solve the problem. That's the bottom line. because it's like speaking. You might as well be speaking in tongues or Greek. They just can't comprehend. And then
I mean, that'll come with any business when you scale like that. You're going to have your growing pains, but yeah, it is frustrating.
Very frustrating. And there's a couple basic things that they screwed up, but they gave me some credit and they get it back in order. So I think it's just some learning curve with the video, and obviously the VHS is coming from them shortly. So there'll probably be a bit of a learning curve with that. And then I have some magazine stuff finally coming back because they were so behind with that stuff. So that'll be an interesting one to unbox and talk about when we get that. But let me dive in here and see. I don't actually even know what's in here. So let's see what we got here, and we can maybe even talk about these games. Oh, there we go.
Is it a Blues Brothers?
Maybe.
Motherfucker, 3 years later.
So here we go. Super Mario 3, Wright Bros. 80 A+. So this is a seal. Now, what's interesting is they're sealed. So Wada's gone away from the matching sealed and CIB label. They've changed the color of it. Whereas I do like the fact that they're just keep sticking with it and keeping it, they're subgrades for the CIBs and then the seal grade in the labeling. So 80 A+.
Do you have a Wada slab behind you, right?
I do.
I just want to see the size comparison. I know they changed their case anyway, but I'm curious.
Yeah, so here's, it's a CIB, but it's the same. But so here's height is almost the same.
Go up a little up. Okay.
Height is almost the same.
It's way wider.
Obviously, you have a lot more going on the sides. That's why it's going to be interesting to see how much streamlining they did of the new case. Right? So, and like I said here, Wada has, see how it's on the side? They eliminated that, I believe, in the new casing, which would be strange to me.
That's a shame.
Yeah, very strange. Now, I will say, and I'm surprised they went away from this nice blue color, because it's amazing to me how many video game box arts have some aspect. Like, look, even the ones behind me out here, almost all of them have some kind of blue in them. And
remember, even the other day when we were talking about would Contra look good with CGC, and we're like, no, it wouldn't.
No, and then we put it in there, and there's some blue tones to pick up in there. So I think by using this blue, that's a win. I think Wada made a big mistake in going away from that blue. Who cares if the little circles match? If you can't tell the difference between CIB and sealed, then you're collecting the wrong thing, because you could be able to see right just by looking at the subgrades which is which. I don't understand why they made, and that obviously that turquoise green they added matches almost nothing.
Yeah,
maybe my outfit today.
That's gonna look good for like BioShock, and that's it.
That's it. That just makes no sense to me. But like we've said before, most people aren't like visual artists.
No, it's like you and me that care about aesthetics, and everyone else is like, oh, they seem like nice guys, so I like them.
Yeah, the case is okay. It's nice and sturdy. Like for me, this is artwork. And I love that this Mario 3 matches the top banner on the CGC so well. The blue is almost identical, So I think that and speaking of Mario 3, I replayed this the other day, didn't I tell you?
No, you didn't.
Start to finish.
How long did it take you?
Well, it was like a couple hours.
Like 7 years.
Yeah, and then you can let it sit for a couple days. And the thing was, I played it on one of those retro consoles that you can get, but it still has no save features. So you just leave it on like you did back in 88 and 89, 90. I forget when this, I think this.
I even remember doing that with PlayStation in the 90s, just leaving it on.
Just leaving it on. Dude, I left that Nintendo on. It probably took me a week to actually beat the game because I only played it like 3 times, but I just left it on for a week. It was
My
great.
memory card's full. Well, just leave it on.
Just leave it on. Yeah. I don't want to go buy another one. Just leave it on. So yeah, I forgot. This is always like it's like the Return of the Jedi of the Mario franchise. They just get everything right. It's a little bit overdone, but it's just a brilliant game. It really is. It's one of the best of the series. I would put it. It's hard to. Isn't it very difficult after Super Mario World to rank the rest of them?
Yes, it is, because to me, and nothing against the rest, that one's just light years above. That's just one of those things that comes along like a beautifully written song. Something just about it connects to the human like psyche and emotion and playability and fun, and they
Mario
just got
World.
everything right. Mario
yeah,
World.
Mario World, yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah. And so to put the other ones in any kind of order, even the just the 3 NES games, it's like, dude.
The tricky one to me is always the first one because it's so iconic and it started everything, and we all have such a deep like connection to it. But as far as an actual game, it's all right.
Yeah.
But also when it came out, that was great. Like, so what are you supposed to do? But 35 years later, 37 years later, Christ.
I can't remember if, I always have trouble remembering if I got my Nintendo for Christmas in 86 or in 87. Either which way, it was prior to Super Mario 2, so I do remember very vividly in my mind having a period of time as a kid where I just played so much Super Mario Brothers, because that was like, it was like Super Mario, Zelda, Contra, Castlevania, whatever.
Yeah, well, we got our Nintendo and Super Mario Brothers in like 89 or 90 because, we're in Wisconsin and we didn't have money. So that was like the new shit. But yeah, we didn't have 2 or 3 growing up because we got it so late, and then Super Nintendo came out. So we just jumped from that to Mario World. And yeah, I don't know. I forgot where I was going with this, but go ahead.
No, it's just always difficult to rank those, but it is unique. Like, certainly if you got into video games later, you wouldn't have the same appreciation for Super Mario Brothers as
Not
you
at
would
all. Not
if
at
you
all.
had that a period.
Even if you go back and play it now and you grew up with it, it's still like you get bored after the first 2 levels, in my opinion.
Right. If not,
how many times has that first fucking mushroom gotten you on the first level? That piece of shit.
yeah. Dude, come on.
Like, you gotta be shitting me.
Yeah.
No, it didn't go.
Yeah. Well, especially if you play it with any of the new updated consoles.
Like the timing's
there's a
off on
tiny
those,
lag, tiny lag that if you played it just religiously as a kid and it so well, it's like ingrained in your hand-eye coordination connection. It's off. It's just slightly off, and you suck.
Completely agree. And how many times you miss that first mushroom too? It goes like, and then no.
Yeah, always
reset.
All right, let's dive in here.
That didn't count as my turn.
Oh, it's a classic. Didn't count as my turn. That's an 80s line.
Dude, I gotta write that down for the script. Hold on. Be right back.
All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, I know he's gonna want to dive into this one, but here's a nice Super Mario Kart 8.5 CIB with some killer subgrades. Still has the cellophane on it. That's the $49.99 nostalgic Kmart price sticker. And this shows you too the ability to match this color with this color.
I hope you weren't talking to me this whole time.
I was not. I was talking to the 2 people watching.
Oh, 2 of them. Oh, 1 of them now. Great. Yeah, you must have been doing a killer job.
Yeah, I lost him on that.
Fly ball.
Caught.
Super Mario
Kart.
Kart.
But see how the blue picks up in here?
Of course.
Yeah. Now
8.5.
8.5
CIB.
It's funny because we talk about how difficult it is to really know component grading for CIB stuff. It is difficult. It just really is, And this thing, I knew the box was fantastic, and I wasn't so sure about. And this was put aside from like 3 years ago when I really didn't know CIB that well, and I have a lot of CIB stuff put aside. So like this is something that I'll have to work to upgrade because it's a 9.2 box, which is so hard to achieve.
So what's hurting, the manual or the cart?
It's a 9.2 box with a 7.0 cart and an 8.0 manual.
Dude, the cart is really tough to find on that.
Yeah.
On the cart. Pun.
Yeah.
There's like certain type, like Mario World, Zelda, and Super Mario Kart are just tough, man.
Yeah. Well, what you got to try to find is obviously you can get a deal. I mean, you can. If the box grades are lower, you can get a deal. So try to find something that has good component grades with the, kind of maybe even a shitty box grade, and then combine stuff here.
Of course,
I mean, at a 9.2 box, this has a really high potential. And for me, anything above, like for CIB 8.5 and higher, just looks, it hits that same numbers as like 80 on VGA. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the cutoff in my book. I mean, I know a lot of guys are stuck on 9s or higher, but certainly
You use that 80 VGA with me.
You love that. That's your number, baby.
No.
Well, we'll dive into that another time.
No, we don't need to go into that.
So yeah, 8.5. And then there's one more in here that I'm not sure what it is, but I've been I've liked there has been some solid consistency that I've seen come back from VGA and Water recently with their CIB grading as they dive into it. So,
is that all you have to share?
No, I have one more.
Or do you have one more? Okay.
I have one more. Oh, see, and this is interesting because this is the first time I've seen a bigger CGC case. So here's Gears of War. This is the first time I've seen the oversized CGC case. So Gears of War 90A.
Why is it oversized?
Well, just because the Xbox games are a little bit bigger than like PS3.
No, I know that. Oh, so is it thicker or just taller?
It's taller.
Oh, okay.
It's significant. It's actually significantly taller.
Because I do have some PS3 stuff I want. So they do PS3 and Xbox 360. No PC.
No, PC goes to VGA only.
Yeah, because you need like custom acrylic for that because there's just so many different sizes and it's not like standard. And then does CGC, do they do PlayStation 1?
Correct.
So then they do 2 and 3, 4?
Yes, any of that stuff.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they're doing that modern of stuff yet though, because that's not an issue for the case sizes. I think or the blisters. I think that's just an issue for wanting to accept it right now and having the knowledge to be able to differentiate.
Well, that and modern. I mean, they're just launching. Why bother with that shit anyway?
Yeah. Well, dude, some of the stuff that people send in. There was a post in High End Game Room earlier today about some of the stuff that went at Hakes last night. I mean, just garbage titles, bro. I mean, just garbage titles of video games selling for $50, less than the grading costs.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, people will send it in. I mean, I look at some of the stuff that's been out there circulating or sent in on VHS in some of the different companies. I mean, when that shit got hot, people just sent anything, bro.
It's just crazy to me that you're going to part with your money without doing a morsel of research.
Right.
Like, why would you send in an Aladdin?
No, or just like, I mean, we remember when there were, any chance I'm playing the new Zelda? No, I'll get back to that shortly.
I was just lost in thought. I don't know if anyone could see the deadness in my eyes, but I did want to bring up the new Zelda and grading. So definitely hit back to that. Go ahead.
What was I talking about?
I don't know. Let's just go to the Zelda.
Okay, go ahead.
Dumb shit people send in, which is pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Unless you have a particular story.
No, I was just saying, remember when we went from seeing like Batman's and Jurassic Parks for $10 everywhere, and then all of a sudden they were all gone, and then all of a sudden they were $100 and $200?
And now they're back down to 10
and now they're back to 10 and 15.
Dude, I saw one in the wild the other day, Jurassic Park, both the hype stickers. It was $15, and I was like, nah.
I know.
What's the point? I'm never gonna pay to have it graded. I already have enough shit.
Yeah.
Fuck this. But there's other people out there that would be like, oh my god, I want that.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean with the research. Like, you got to realize there's hundreds, if not thousands, of those things. It's just not worth it. It's never going to be. It's a big title and very, very cherished, but it's never going to be scarce to the point where it brings big money. Yeah. On to Zelda. What I was going to say is, part of me definitely wanted to go out, find a mint copy, because it's a huge title. It's going to be huge, and have it graded and hold on to it. But the thing is, it's already sold 10 million copies. Video game grading is already very prominent. So there's already, of 10 million of those, I'll say conservatively, 500,000 that have been bought just to grade and not play.
Yeah.
So it's never going to be scarce.
Yeah.
So what's the point? Or do you have a counterpoint to that?
Well, I think relative scarcity and adjustments on grade depending on title and age. I've seen it with every company. Anybody that says only certain companies, some companies I think do it a little bit more than others, but there's no doubt in my mind they grade things differently, but depending on the system and you have to find different differentiators. And there's certain even titles that I think get a little more leeway because of the way the box looks or how difficult it can be to find mint because of the color of it or whatever. I think there's a lot of slight discrepancies and things like that. So it's like, when you have modern games, you're going to have a whole new set of guidelines of how you're grading that so you can achieve 9 8s and 9 9s and 10 O's and 100s and 95s or whatever. Okay. Well, it might be really, really difficult to obtain that. I mean, we're seeing, as we've been talking about, I know some of the grades that are coming back from magazines, it's going to be very interesting. I'd like to go to a convention and compare stuff in person to see. But I mean, I can't imagine, especially for like, okay, I could see discrepancies in CGC's video games or VHS to start because they're learning. But they've been doing comics and magazines forever. So even though I'm not super happy with some of the grades based on what I saw in the eye test, I'm not a comics and magazine guy. So I have to imagine that they know what they're doing, okay? That they didn't just screw up my order.
We're getting on a bit of a tangent here.
No, but I'm just saying, like, so I can't imagine then that it's like how difficult those are then to actually find that mint. So if they're grading modern games at some really strict standard, then yeah, maybe a 10.0 is really, 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 really hard to find, even though it's modern and you could go out. You might be able to submit 100 of them case fresh and get 0 in that grade. I'm
with you. A 10 of anything is big. So I'm not talking that. What I'm saying is we're going to see hundreds of thousands, 9.2 to 9.6 or 9.8s. And my other point I was going to bring up, I'm glad DRK Bizzle brought it up. Master Edition for Breath of the Wild is over 2,000. When Breath of the Wild came out, you got to remember that's sort of a quote unquote older game now. Video game grading was big, but it didn't hit the boom yet. So people weren't thinking to run out and grab those copies and preserve them the day of. So I think that's kind of an exception and falls into older stuff. Whereas everyone has that mindset today to go grab it and preserve it, whether they do or not. They still are aware of it.
And I think the companies that are taking them in submission, VGA and maybe I'm trying to remember, but like modern stuff that is still getting a ton of submissions from that stuff. Just everyone hoping they get a 10 or 100 or a 95 plus or whatever, because they're whatever grading standard they're using for that,
and that's it. That's your only hope if you're planning on running out and grabbing a copy or you got a copy and you want to grade it. You need a 10. You absolutely need a 10 or a 9.9. And
I don't know how those modern games come in case packs of how many or whatever, but obviously you're going to need to get them in some kind of case pack or go to the store and be like, hey, let me look through your case packs and pick one or something.
You're going to need to work at like fucking GameStop.
Best Buy, maybe. Best Buy doesn't really carry much stuff anymore. Isn't it crazy to think the evolution of that? I mean, that was like our home run.
No, I know, man. I used to just walk up and down the aisles of CDs and like look at them, and then the aisles of DVDs and then Blu-rays. And now it's just like there's some cell phone accessories and a whole bunch of washers and dryers.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Yep.
Great. Oh, you got a dehumidifier. Real cool.
Real cool. Yeah. Dyson hair blower. Thanks.
Oh my God.
Isn't it funny to see as music stuff is playing out how scarce it is or isn't, and it really is still shown to be holding up fairly scarce. I mean, it's not that easy to find a lot of this stuff. And you think about how many copies of all this stuff there were.
Well, look at Appetite, number one selling debut album of all time.
Yeah.
And we're certainly seeing some more copies of the red hype sticker or maroon. They came in maroon and black, the hype stickers, the Deadpool one.
Yeah.
But like, again, the two we have, the true first release with the oval hype sticker in the last 5 years is the only two I've ever seen.
Yeah. I have the only 2 cassettes I've ever seen. I don't know anyone else that has one. I have 2 and that's it. I've never seen another one. Saying that the LP with that is the only one I've seen until you found that one.
I got lucky, man. And I did not need to spend that money, but you just don't leave that.
Yeah, I think it's immaculate. So it'd be interesting. I do have some stuff going off to some of the vinyl grading companies, and it'd be interesting to get that back.
Who did you choose?
Well, I want to see everything in person.
I just said, who did you choose? Not a judgment.
Okay. No, I sent something to everybody so far for the most part. I haven't sent anything to AAGS, who is watching us.
Who actually listens.
Who actually listens to us. I don't know why. I looked at their site or something, and maybe they weren't taking anything yet, or somebody that I do some business with had told me that they had sent them some stuff and that they were on hold for a bit again. So I haven't put anything over there. But my intention is to send something because, for me, I'd like to kind of see what everybody does, because I certainly have a lot more other music media than I do LPs, and kind of see how they do with the other stuff. and go from there. Sealed Vinyl is on with us. I thought that was you. I don't know who that is. No, that's not you. Okay,
What are you talking about? You thought that was me.
I don't know how many accounts do you have? You got to keep all your shills in
3.
order. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sealed VHS, sealed cassettes, which I don't do anything with, and then the other one's just my personal one with my name, which I also rarely do anything with.
Gotcha. Well, excuse me for thinking you might have also done sealed vinyl. But no, now I remember I've looked through his page before. He's got a bunch of really cool stuff. Looks like he's been doing
definitely
a lot longer than we have been. I do have some tapes that I got in that I think are kind of interesting that we can talk about for a second.
Is this in the wild?
No, this is just stuff that I came home to after being out of town. Stuff that I haven't seen a lot that I was able to pick up. I was able to pick this up. This is the first release of DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince on cassette. Before the Parents Just Don't Understand album. This was like their big. It only has, I think, a handful of songs on each side, and it didn't have any big ones. But I love seeing some of those old stickers on there and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know, and honestly, this is like, I'm not into like first appearance of VHS. Like, this is the guy's first movie. Oh, it's his rookie movie. Oh, stupidest shit I've ever heard of. But
that's so dumb.
But honestly, like somebody like Will Smith, who's crossed over different genres, mediums of sorts and whatnot, kind of
music,
cool
TV, movies, slapping,
boxing,
done it all.
Done it all. He's done it all.
Sealed vinyl, yeah. Yeah, you for sure been collecting a while, man. We can tell, or I can tell. Anyway.
Tell it how long, so we can get some perspective. Because he and I have been looking for stuff for maybe 2, 3, 4 years, but not collecting heavily. I will say I was doing cassette collecting heavily. That was the only one I've been doing.
And I went balls deep into VHS and then cassettes, but I started with just cassette soundtracks, the balls deep part anyway.
Yeah.
And then branched out.
Keep talking about that.
Yeah, balls deep.
More, yeah, balls deep.
Oh, yeah. And then, I mean,
whenever somebody says balls deep, I always think of, besides the obvious, I also think of rookie movie. Oh,
dude, there's like 3 people trying to push
they care. Nobody cares, bro. This isn't sports cards. This isn't comic books first appearance. It's not going to happen. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But balls deep always reminds me of something from Lord of the Rings. And I don't know if it's because Howard Stern used to do that Lord of the Anal Ring Toss, but I don't think that's it. I think it's just, wasn't there something called something that sounds like balls deep in Lord of the Rings?
I don't watch that shit. I don't know.
Oh, here you go. Since the 90s, used to buy doubles. That's my guy right there. That's like me in video games. Lucky you didn't get out of it like an idiot for the wrong 10 years. Here's another one I picked up.
I can't. Dolly?
No, Nancy Sinatra.
Oh, Boots,
man. This is I've never seen another one of these, and this is Snapcase. You know, and Snapcase are shrink seals for those of you that don't know.
With a vertical? No, they're not.
No, they're not. There's some late 70s and early 80s, and a bunch of club releases from that time that have shrink overlap, and there's some that have shrink without overlap.
I don't understand why the snap cases haven't like blown up as far as people wanting them. Maybe it's just they don't know about them yet. Because those are infinitely harder to find than anything from the mid 80s up.
They're super difficult to find. And so I think that's part of it is you just don't see it. And even especially like the really big albums from the period, because a lot of this stuff is from like late 60s to mid 70s. And then they had the slipcase ones, you know, that some had the pink colored. And I think there was like a light green colored or something cassette inside.
There were some that were two-tone that were pretty cool.
Yeah, those are Y-folded because they're a little later. And that's what led into. But there are some shrinks even in regular cassette. What would you call this? Why can't I think of it? They'd have the traditional with the J card and all that. What do they call them for PlayStation games? My
jewel case?
Jewel case, yeah. My brain just took a shit. Here's another one. This is a cool one that I picked up. Jane's Addiction. Yeah, Ritual de lo Habitual. This is the one with whatchamacallit on it. Been Caught Stealing, one of my favorite songs from that early 90s. I love that song so much.
That is the dumbest song.
It's so great.
I hate that whole band. They're just like they were designed to be annoying.
I love this sticker on here though. Peaches. Do you remember this record store? I think it was
No, I
on the
didn't have
East
those,
Coast.
but I
Maybe
dig
somebody
the
who's
sticker.
watching or can put in the comments when you watch later. Peaches was, I think they were an East Coast thing. I forget what state they were
Peaches is certainly
mainly
very
in,
popular right now.
because I've seen a bunch of.
Oh, hey, speaking of which, speaking of your Instagram story, or who is the Princess Peach to you or whatever?
Hopefully she's not the new woke I'm better than Mario Peach, but okay. Which one?
What was your answer? That's what I'm saying.
Oh, mine was Mario 2. I just have the most vivid memory because in the first game, she's just like there, right? 85. And then the first time where I really remember her having a huge part in any of the game is obviously Mario 2, where she's a playable character. So that's certainly the one that is most ingrained for me.
I see. What do you think mine was?
I think you put others or something.
Well, because you only gave 88.
Well, I figured most people on my page would be connected to one of the first 3 games.
Well, she's got no personality in the first one, so you can throw that out right away.
Yeah, the second one, she's the first playable character. Then the next one is Mario World, which is she's kind of strange looking in that one, honestly. I mean, I remember that's probably my second choice. No, and then the next one is actually pretty iconic of her, but that's just her redone for Super Mario All-Stars. And then actually, I didn't put it on that list because it wasn't in that graphic. But I had a lot. See, brother, I had a lot of memory from her first DS game, Super Princess Peach or something, where she had her own game. That was her first and only standalone game, which I thought was a really cool game.
That's definitely a franchise that's waiting to happen, or Peach like.
I think maybe even
if
after
they can
this
figure
movie,
out a good. What's that? Oh,
maybe
after the
even
movie.
after the movie, yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, so it was tough for me to answer. Like, so 93. I guess I didn't realize that was All Stars. I thought that was going to be Super Mario Kart.
Yeah,
the first
I think
one?
it was some similarities, but that was because she did look a lot like she did in Mario Kart.
To me, that was the first time. I never played Mario 2, so for me, that was the first time Peach was really a playable character. But as far as iconic goes for me, it's probably the 96 Super Mario 64.
Okay. Yeah. That was the one that was like after that.
Well, I mean, it was like her castle and like,
right. That was a big one too. Yeah, for sure. That was the one you probably picked. Yeah, I probably should put that one in there. I wish they would give you more options on that, but I guess they'd run out of space.
I thought that the other day. Does it let you put 2 different option things on? Like 2 separate ones?
Well, you can put up to 4 answers. That's
I know that, but what I'm saying is, say you do one sticker with the 4 answers. Does it let you bring another sticker with another 4 answers?
Oh, I don't think so. No. I mean, I've never tried it, but
we're real technological whizzes.
This is one of my favorite albums as a kid, with the hype sticker, George Michael Faith. But well, I guess it would be nice.
Well, then I'll this just because it's within
the same range.
Yeah, and yeah, so cool with the hype.
Vanilla Ice Baby with that hype. Yeah, those have popped a little more, but certainly when I was first buying them, they were great to find. This has some really this.
They're hard to find clean.
Dude, this got so overplayed on MTV between Father Figure, Faith, I Want Your Sex, One More Try, Monkey, and Kissing
and those
a Fool.
were all about all of those one singular men's room.
Yeah,
read all those titles again. They all make sense.
I remember.
Incident.
Yeah, dude. This came out in '87, of course. That's why it's one of my favorites of all time. And I remember, dude, you'd watch a couple of those videos, like Father Figure and I Want Your Sex. I mean, that was like literally my sex ed when I was 10 years old for those couple videos, bro. I mean, they played them like 38 times a night on MTV when you get home from school. And they were so, for the time, so risque and sexual. Like, I remember vividly watching them. And here's this guy who I'm just like, oh, dude, what a badass.
Father Figure has that weird, like, Egyptian like sitar little riff, right?
Yeah.
It always makes me think of a Mario lava level.
Okay, fair enough. Does it make you think of Ravi Shankar, dude? Okay.
No, it's before my time. I'm not 70.
Well, it's before my time, but I at least know it. And
I know who it is. I know who it is from Wayne's World.
Oh, okay, good. I had one more stack here that I got in that was pretty interesting. This is such an iconic album.
I can't see what it is. Huey Lewis and the News 4.
Huey Lewis and the News 4.
But that's only got like 1 or 2 bangers on it, I believe.
Well, it has one of my favorite songs of all time by them is "Stuck with You." Yeah,
Yep.
I'm happy to be stuck with you. And
got to
doing
see
it
them
all
live
for
before he had
my
his ear
baby.
What?
Doing it all for my baby. Classic Huey. Doing it all for my baby.
Yeah, but that's the doo-wop Huey Lewis that I just never got
for
into.
you. Doing it, yeah. So good. Those are, and Hip to Be Square is on here too.
That's a banger.
Banger. Yeah, dude, those 3 really big songs on there for sure. And this
Sports
I picked
is the
up.
big album.
I'll tell you what, I hardly ever buy anything on Discogs because it's totally a roll of the dice. There's no pictures. There's no like.
Dude, I've had some terrible luck on Discogs, and I've had some amazing luck.
Yeah,
like,
so everything is $5.
Is perfect.
Yeah. Nobody cares if it's sealed or open, so it's like everything's $5. You just roll the dice and see what shows up. I had been looking for this Cinderella with the early tan back forever. It was $6 on Discogs. Now it has a seal tear and a few other issues, but there's no cracks, and it has a matching period correct sticker on the back. It was like $6.
I was like, that album.
And I haven't seen one of these for 2 years on eBay, and this shows up on Discogs for $6. You know,
absolutely, yeah. It's. I wish there were other avenues other than eBay and Discogs. And
this is one I know you'll love. This is the first one of these I'd seen.
Tooth and Nail. That's a tough one.
Doc and Tooth and Nail hasn't shown up very often. Has the black back, and of course it has Into the Fire on it. Which is
I ordered one of those on Discogs like 6 months ago. Sealed mint. It comes massive fucking seal tear, like razor blade all up and down. Things cracked as shit. Like
Dick's Discogs is like the Wild West, bro.
I know. I was like, I'm not gonna get my $14 back. It's not even worth sending it.
None of that is even worth it. It's just it all gets figured.
They need to update that so there's actually pictures of the actual item. Like that shocks me that this day and age they don't have that.
Well, the guys will send you a lot of times or whatever. You can.
Sometimes they will, but the messaging system sucks. Sometimes they don't even get the message.
Tooth and Nail from Dokken is such a cool cover.
Oh yeah.
You know
what's crazy is they kind of started that. I mean, they didn't start, but that Freddy. That with the claw and the nails that's that one. But then the next one, Jesus Christ, with all the bangers on it. I have the shirt for God's sake. What's their next album?
Where the guys are on the front with the fire thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember.
No. Hang on, I gotta look. This is gonna drive me nuts, and I'm embarrassed. I can't even think of this.
It's on the tip of my because I have it sealed.
No, I'm thinking of Tooth and Nail still, but the CD cover. Where it's the hand coming out.
Yeah. I like how some of the artwork is different across different mediums.
I love that. That's what I love is particularly about the LP and Laserdisc is you get artwork that's sometimes not seen anywhere else.
And this one showed up today, and it is one of the mintiest cassettes I've ever seen. The seal is absolutely flawless. Everything about it is flawless. And this is such a huge soundtrack.
Pretty in Pink.
Yeah. Now, not my style of music. But a lot of people consider this like one of the top soundtrack.
Go down the track list.
Well, it has a lot of stuff that's like
what interlude, hallway interlude.
I'll give you the bands because you won't know that many of the songs because I don't. But it's a lot of like that, like super gay techno, early techno gay shit from the '80s that we couldn't stand, like Depeche Mode and Pet Shop Boys.
I love Depeche Mode. You're insane.
Yeah, out of here.
Love Depeche Mode.
Terrible. One of my best friends loves that. I'm like, dude, that stuff is the worst.
You're telling me Depeche Mode is trash, but Jane's Addiction is good. You're out of your mind.
Yeah.
Nothing original about Jane's Addiction whatsoever.
Orchestral Maneuvers, Susan Vega, Jesse Johnson, In Excess, Psychedelic Furs, New Order, Echo and the Bunnymen, The Smiths, and Danny Hutton Hitters. It doesn't say, but if I can remember correctly, I forget what song it is. Well, no, it's the Pretty in Pink song itself. That's what it is. The movie was written around the idea of this song, or the song was written in conjunction with the movie itself. So there's like a really deep connection between a couple of the tracks on here. You'd have to dive into somebody that knows this album better, but was really instrumental. Like they were made in conjunction at the same time.
I will say this. I'm looking up the Smiths song on Pretty in Pink is Please, Please, Please Let Me Get What I Want. So it's a John Hughes movie. That's also the very famous song during Ferris Bueller when they're at the museum.
Yep.
But it's a cover by Dream Theater. You know it if you heard it.
No, I'm going to look this up because it'll tell
it.
you. Oh, you have it all up?
Ooh, so whoever Bellevue Sum is, I see round and my eyes immediately thought round and round. I'm like, holy shit, rats on there?
Rats on there? How'd that get put in there?
John Hughes just crushing it.
Yeah.
I also heard the other day that Round and Round only made it to number 13, and it would have 100% been a number one hit, but there was so much payola going on at the time, and they didn't have money to pay the radio stations. But it was just natural by request, no money whatsoever thrown in, and it still made it that high.
The film was named after a song by Psychedelic Furs, and the film's soundtrack, which has been acclaimed as among the most brilliant in modern cinema, features a re-recorded version of that song.
I mean, John Hughes was great with music. Where he left off, I think Tarantino kind of took over. Well, and then Scorsese in there too, quite honestly. I mean, he's a master at putting music to scene.
Yeah. And I just love remember how that app was really popular for a while on your phone where you would take out all the color except one spot? Remember?
Well, I didn't have that. I'd actually go to Photoshop and do it like a man back in high school.
Yeah, but that's where that was inspired from, was the Pretty in Pink cover and poster and stuff.
John Hughes, man, legit inspired just so much and in so many different avenues. I mean, the way he wrote, the music he selected, think of how many movies are his, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles probably his biggest masterpiece.
Yeah.
As far as if you want to go an actual film and not just teen drama, not taking nothing away from Breakfast Club. I mean, it's outstanding. Okay. Great character piece. But all around, I don't know, man, there's just a little more heart to Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And then he remade the movie and called it Dutch.
Oh, okay.
And I love Dutch.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of his credits here. And you can see the similarities in so many of these.
Home Alone.
Yeah.
Ferris Bueller, Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink,
Weird
16
Science.
Candles. Bursitis?
Weird Science.
Oh, wait a minute. The swelling of the knees? Right.
Yeah.
It's a departure. He just wanted to do something different.
Yeah. He was like, fuck it.
It's a jogging story.
Cripple somebody up a little bit.
Steve Prefontaine. Yeah.
So, all right, good. Well, I will say, over the next week or two, for those of you still joining us, we'll have a bunch of live unboxings on Instagram Live. Obviously, they won't be on the podcast. But if you are interested in that and you are listening on the podcast, I'm the Graded 80s Kid. Seal VHS is my buddy here, Thomas Nardini. You can tune into us on Instagram Live or check out our pages there so you can see some of this great stuff that we talk about once in a while. I like that we don't do too much with individual collectible stuff, but it's fun to kind of inspire some conversations out of nowhere, to bring up some of these old pieces. So, follow us on there and join us for some of these unboxings over the next couple weeks as I get a bunch of stuff back. And, we'll see you guys soon. Talk to you soon. Later.
Big kisses.